All right, what's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about the bag toss. The bag toss is a very common event in the sport of strongman. It pops up in a lot of competitions, and it is something that not necessarily won't make or break you, but a lot of people don't necessarily practice it, or they can't practice it. And so this is an event that you can earn some points on to, keep yourself within the top three competitors, towards the end of the day. Now, if you do not have an actual bag toss implement to practice with, you can simply utilize a med ball, a small rock, or even like a shot put to still get that and practice that sport specific motion. You can do overhead tosses for height or for distance. But the downfall with this though is if you're going to use a rock or a shot put, typically they're not going to be as heavy as a bag would be in the event. So it's important that you utilize some of the accessories that we're going to talk about to kind of build your bag toss movement if you're not able to actually have your hands on the actual bag toss. It is important if you can get your hands on the bag toss to actually get practice with the actual implement that's going to be used in competition, but it is not the end of the world. It is not a make or break deal. Personally, I have a bag toss, and even when bag toss are in for the competitions that I'm preparing for, I really like to utilize these accessories to build my bag toss instead of just performing endless bag tosses every single event day that I have. All right, the first accessory that we're going to talk about is the banded kettlebell swing. I prefer utilizing the banded kettlebell swing over a regular kettlebell swing because with the band, it is going to force you to drop down faster as the bell is swinging through your legs, but it is going to be harder at the top of the rep due to the resistance of the band. And why I like this is because when we bag toss in competition, we have to throw the bag either obviously vertically over a certain height or behind us for a distance. And so where we're not going to stop our momentum right here and then let the bag do the rest of the work, we have to finish our movement and explode at the top. And that is why I like the banded kettlebell swing. The next accessory is just in line with the banded kettlebell swing, simply a single arm kettlebell swing. Why I like this is because some events or some competitions are going to require you to only throw the bag with one hand for that event. And so by utilizing the single arm kettlebell swing, we're kind of training that sport specific motion of getting ready to launch the bag, with a single arm. And so by utilizing the single arm kettlebell swing, we're not going to be able to obviously use as much weight as if we have both hands on the bell, but it is something that we can progressively overload over the weeks, again, to get us kind of ready for that single arm bag toss. The next accessory that I really like to use is called the dumbbell high pull. I really like this one because of the overload factor that we can get out of this. You can strap up and really use a heavy dumbbell for this. But I also like this because, again, it kind of trains single sides at a time to where, again, if you have that single arm bag throw in the event, this is going to prepare you exactly for that. This is something that I utilized before my last strongman competition, and we had a single arm bag toss for height. And I felt like this really had great carryover, and I had no issues with the heavier bag on that day. Another reason why I like the dumbbell high pull is because at some point in time when we're doing our bag toss, the kettlebell swings are great because it's kind of training that bottom half of the movement, but at some point we're going to have to use our upper back, and then obviously the timing aspect of the bag toss as well. But our upper back's going to come into play, and we definitely need our upper back to be able to kind of shrug that weight up a little bit. And so with the dumbbell high pull, this does a really good job of targeting that upper back and kind of getting that upward motion that we're looking for in our bag toss. Bag toss is also just a really explosive movement in nature, and with the dumbbell high pull, the more weight that you're going to use, the more body English you're really going to have to use to get that bag up and on competition, or that dumbbell up. And then on competition day, you're not going to half-ass the bag toss. You have to put everything that you have into it. And so again, I feel like with the dumbbell high pull, really pushing the weight on that, even again, like I said, strapping up so you can use more weight, is going to have great carryover for the bag toss event. All right, last but not least for the accessories is going to be a dumbbell or a kettlebell snatch. Now, in my opinion, this kind of just pulls it all together. I really wish you could utilize a band for a movement like this, but that's just not a thing. So with this, it's kind of tying the kettlebell swing as well as the high pull all into one, and it teaches you kind of how to just extend and use your body to get the weight up to its highest point. Now, obviously, we're not letting this dumbbell go, and it's going to be in a bit more controlled fashion, so there's a bit more deceleration in there compared to like the bag toss itself. But again, I feel like this trains the movement pattern that we're looking for, going from a hinged position to exploding up, using that upper back and using our arm to control the weight all the way up. Again, I feel like this is just a really good movement that you can progressively overload over the weeks leading into your competition, and it is going to have great carryover to the bag toss event. And so with all of these accessories, you can strategically implement them, throughout your blocks of training or your waves of training leading into your competition. And so while I do think getting your hands on the actual bag itself to get practice is important, and if you have access to it, you definitely should, these are ways that you can build your bag toss event and really improve it without actually having to practice the event itself every single week. This is something that you can utilize in the off season. If you can only use bag tosses outside like myself and you live in a state where the weather's kind of iffy, especially throughout different seasons of the year, utilizing these accessories are going to have tremendous carryover to your bag event or your bag throw event, but also your other events as well.